All right, we're going to call this city council meeting to order at 6:35 on the 10th of August. Can we have roll call, please?
Mr. Mays? Ms. Poplar?
Present.
Mr. Nelson?
Present.
Mr. Freeman?
Present.
Mr. Davis?
Here.
Mr. Winfrey?
Present.
Ms. Galloway?
Present.
Ms. Van Buren?
Present.
Mr. Kincaid?
Present.
Thank you.
All right, Councilman Winfrey, can you lead us in both the Pledge of Allegiance and our prayer? Please remain standing after the pledge.
Let us pray. Almighty God, creator of heaven and earth, we come today acknowledging that you're sovereign and supreme. Above you there is none. We realize that you created heaven and earth. The scripture tells us that the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof, the world and they that dwell therein. Acknowledging this then, we ask you to be in power and let your Holy Spirit guide us as we dispense with the business of this city. Thank you for all of our blessings. Thank you for each and every one of us here. Thank you for this city. Continue to bless us. In the blessed name of Jesus, we pray. Amen.
Mr. President,
Councilwoman
could we have a
Poplar.
moment of silence, please?
Yes, ma'am.
I would like a moment of silence for 1-year-old Genesis General Tyler and Rita Landworthy. They were the two people that were deceased this morning around 2:30 a.m.
Mr. President, can we add all of the people in the last few days who have been, lives been taken senselessly to that group of 2? I think it's a total of 9, so I would like it to be for all 9.
Thank you, Mr. President.
All right, next item on our agenda is presentation of the minutes. Do we have a motion?
Move approval. Support.
Been moved and supported. Is there any discussion on the motion?
Mr. President,
Councilman Mays.
I would move approval with correction.
Councilman Kincaid, you all right?
Yes, support.
With corrections. Any discussion?
No.
Councilwoman. Madam Clerk, can we have roll call, please?
Yes, Mr. Mays?
Yes.
Ms. Poplar?
Yes.
Mr. Nelson?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Winfrey?
Yes.
Ms. Galloway?
Yes.
Ms. Van Buren?
Yes.
Mr. Kincaid?
Yes.
The vote is 9 yes, 0 no.
Next item on our agenda is public comment. As some of you know, and some of you who have not been here in a while may not know, we did split up our public comment opportunity, so people now have a chance to speak to us on specific items specific to the agenda only. And you do have 3 minutes. We've got a couple of people who have signed up for that opportunity.
Yes, our first speaker is Mr. R.L. Mitchell. Mr. Mitchell?
And as a reminder, Mr. Mitchell, items specific to the agenda only.
I'm Mr. R.L. Mitchell, and the agenda what I'm going to speak on is that stereo stuff that the word Council Lady Poplar mentioned in the committee room back there about ever since we put this prayer thing in.
Mr. Mitchell, I need you to be specific to an item on the agenda, please.
This is the item on the.
Maybe it would be better for you to wait until the next
Prayer
public
was,
comment.
Hey, sir.
Prayer was on the agenda, Mr.
No, it
President.
wasn't.
This police taking a vacation about these hiring 5 policemen, and he gonna come back and straighten this situation out about just putting people under curfew like Saginaw and stuff, and that's a stereo situation and stuff. And since this city became the city of God, ain't nobody, Miss Poplar, say anything she want to say, and everybody don't have to apologize when they address her if they want to come address her, because it ain't none of her city. You got that your so-called president and all that junk and trying to put words in my mouth. I got some words I ain't never, if I can use them from where I first come up with Flint, from Georgia. All this drunken, all y'all smart looking drunken fat, all this, and that man, got a man say the prayer, that bald headed, you,
Mr.
Hey, I just, now let somebody else out.
Okay, thank you for those comments. Next speaker, please.
Our next speaker is Mr. Arthur Woodson. Mr. Woodson.
Good evening.
It's not a good evening. I'm getting ready to speak about the transfer of funds. Wouldn't public safety be included in that, where y'all had the budget of transferring funds? All right, well, we'll speak about block grants then. That's in there, right? Community block grants? All right, Ms. Poplar, I was offended by what you said. I am an ex-convict, plus I'm also a disabled veteran. And at the same time, I'm doing Xbox tournaments for the kids, and I take the money out of my pocket and I feed the kids out of my pocket. I'm also opening up a homeless transitional housing. But community block grants, how many community block grants have you brought into your ward? How many parks are the funds, because I keep on seeing funds brought, fixing up other people's parks in other cities. In the city, River Park, and then they just did one, y'all just voted on one, I think about 2 months ago. I get tired of counterfeit Christians, Bible thumpers, hypocrites, always quoting Bible verses and don't live by it. I don't have to quote a Bible verse because I live it, and then the people see the light in me. I was once incarcerated. I went from hurting people to helping people. Not once have you came out there and put a community block grant. Not once have I ever seen you at a march. You are the leader of Second Ward. The majority of the murders happen in your ward. And not once have I seen you put a march together for the murders. And then you want to grandstand and just offer 2 people when it's 9. This isn't the time for you to try to get kudos and all that other stuff and come up in here dressed like you going to church. You're coming up here to work. When's the last time you sponsored a bill? When was the last time you done anything but vote with Josh and Scott Kincaid? When was the last time you done anything for your ward except for fixed concrete, sidewalks? That ain't helping the people. And then you want to sit up there and talk about me and look at me? Yes, I am an ex-con, and I'm happy to be an ex-con because I learned from my mistakes. And now that I learned from my mistakes, I help people. I don't degrade people. You want people to come up in here and help when you shipping them right back out of here because of you sitting up there trying to grandstand. You got 2 months. You resign or be recalled. One of the R's is going to happen.
Thank you, I got something for you. Councilwoman Poplar. Councilwoman Poplar.
Don't you go nowhere.
Councilwoman Poplar, let's wait until the appropriate time. Our next speaker?
Our last speaker in this segment is Mr. Chris Del Moroni. Mr. Del Moroni.
Councilwoman, please.
Thank you. My name is Chris Del Moroni, and I live in Flint, Michigan. I wish to address the council on appeals to the Michigan Tax Tribunal. About 2 months ago, there was some talk that the city was going to be forced to appraise all the properties in the city of Flint. That probably needs to be done. It sounded very expensive. I think I heard the number $3 million. It was also mentioned that there are more appeals going to the Michigan Tax Tribunal. And that could be implied that the city or Board of Review here locally in Flint is not doing what needs to be done. And I'd like to just point out 2 things that have gone on with the Michigan Tax Tribunal recently. One is that at one time, both commercial properties and residential properties had to be brought before the local Board of Review in order to go to the state. Well, there was a change in, let me say, the law or the process that for commercial properties, they did not need to go to the local Board of Review. They could simply go to the state. So if someone needed redress, we may in fact see more appeals going to the Michigan Tax Tribunal because they never come here to get relief, because they're no longer required to. Additionally, individuals, their own personal residence, when they want to appeal the value of that, they must come before the local board of review in order to appeal to the state. Now, when they come before the local board of review, all they need to say is, my taxes are too high, I can't afford it. They won't get relief from us because the burden of proof is onto them as to why the taxes are too high. But at that point, it allows them to appeal to the state. And when they go to the state, then they can introduce all their other, let me say, evidence, an appraisal, pictures, talk about conditions of their home and things like that. So those two reasons, commercial no longer has to go to the local board review, and individuals can just show up, so they have that right to appeal to the state, which they've had that right for a long time now. Those might be two reasons where the increase in appeals to the Michigan Tax Tribunal are going on. So it's just something to consider as you move forward in reappraising all the homes in the city of Flint. Thank you.
Thank you. That's the end of our public speakers for this
Mr.
portion
President.
of our agenda. Councilman Mays.
Could I refer that discussion that Mr. Del Moroni was talking about to Finance Committee meeting as it relates to those tax tribunal appeals and things of that nature? I want some discussion in Finance Committee.
We can put that on as an agenda item for
Appreciate it.
that committee. Next item on the agenda are petitions and communications. Is there a motion to place those on file?
Move to place those on file, Mr. President.
It's been moved. Is there support?
Support.
Moved and supported. Is there any discussion? Can we have roll call, please?
Ms. Poplar?
Yes.
Mr. Nelson?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Winfrey?
Yes.
Ms. Galloway?
Yes.
Ms. Van Buren?
Yes.
Mr. Kincaid?
Yes.
Mr. Mays?
Yes.
The vote is 9 yes, 0 no on
Motion
petitions and
passes.
communications.
Next item on the agenda then is resolution for reconsideration, and this would be the add-on that I passed out and we voted on to move to council and committee.
Mr. President,
Councilman Mays.
I would move 150560 for approval.
We're going to move it as add-on number 1.
All right?
Okay.
As add-on number 1.
Is there support? Support. Been moved and supported. And what this does is, a resolution that was brought forward had an incorrect account number on it. And we need to rescind this one so that we can vote on the correct one later in the agenda, so.
It had an incorrect what?
Account number.
Okay.
Is there any further discussion on this? Can we have roll call, please?
What is the motion? I just want to be clear on
Motion
this.
is to move add-on number
For
1.
reconsideration, we moving it to reconsider, and then what we'll do, vote it down after that.
Actually, the add-on is to rescind
Right.
150560.
Okay, so I'm moving to approve it, so
To
it's
re-
when we
to
vote
rescind it,
yes,
yes.
that's gonna be the
Yes to
rescind
res-
it.
to
A
rescind it,
yes
yes.
vote rescinds it.
Why?
So you want it
Hang on a minute,
rephrased?
just a second. Yep, all we're doing is we're just voting on add-on number 1. Yep, and the yes would be to rescind that resolution.
Is the add-on number 11505?
No, it is what I passed out. in
Okay,
the
so
council
the
chamber.
motion would just say, we voting.
Yes to rescind.
Yes to rescind
Yes.
add-on number 1.
Right,
Add-on number 1 would rescind. This is the add-on, because it hasn't been given a number, but
Right.
it would rescind the previous action.
Okay, then, so if we withdraw the motion,
we don't need to withdraw the motion.
we just gonna,
We're just
we
going to move
amended it
forward
with
with
the,
add-on number 1 and put it
let's,
on the agenda.
let's roll.
Okay,
Okay.
roll call, please.
Mr. Nelson?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Mr. Davis? Mr. Winfrey?
Yes.
Ms. Galloway?
Yes.
Ms. Van Buren?
Yes.
Mr. Kincaid?
Yes.
Mr. Mays?
Yes.
Ms. Poplar?
Yes.
The vote is 9 yes, 0 no for add-on number 1.
The motion passes. We do have 2 items for the master resolution. Someone like to make a motion on that, or do they want to vote on them separately, whichever makes you guys happy?
Mr. President,
Councilman Kincaid.
I would move resolution 150605 and 150643 to council for approval.
Support.
Moved in support. Is there any discussion on these 2 resolutions?
Yeah, I would separate them, Mr. President, and vote on them separately.
Okay,
So I would ask that they be separated.
okay. Sounds good. Any discussion on 150605?
150605. This is a adjustment and transfer of block grant funds.
This is a reprogramming
Re-
previously programmed dollars and making them available to reprogram.
And so do we know which specific dollars?
It's in your agenda. It's in
Yeah, I didn't get the agenda until I got here.
Well, we voted on this actually at our last committee meeting,
Which
where we
com-
had discussion of it.
In which committee meeting was that, finance?
Yes.
The one I got arrested out of?
No,
It
this
had
was-
to be.
This
That's
was last Wednesday.
You were there.
So finance committee meeting wasn't last Wednesday,
Last Wednesday.
Yes, it was.
and Ms. Galloway chaired that.
Did you chair that meeting? Ms. Galloway chaired that meeting.
And so you telling me we had 2 finance committee meetings within the last 2 weeks?
I'm telling you that we had a finance committee meeting last Wednesday. That this agenda item was at and discussed.
July 8th,
So
August 5th.
the last meeting that Ms. Galloway chaired that I got arrested in was finance, correct?
July 8th.
I don't recall you being arrested at a.
Well,
finance
yeah,
committee.
whenever they put their hands on me, I'm arrested. I
I
ain't
don't
got
recall
freedom.
that happening August 5th. Do you have any further questions about this?
Yeah, I want to know whether or not I've heard the details of this, and so I'm trying to zero in since y'all said was in finance committee meeting. I know for a fact that's the one that you and her had me arrested in. And so y'all saying that it wasn't. I remember being in a meeting last week that Ms. Galloway chaired. And then after she chaired that meeting, we had the public safety meeting, which Ms. Van Buren chaired.
That's
But
right.
what's confusing me is we had 2 finance committee meetings in July.
The last finance committee we had was August 5th, and that was last Wednesday.
Okay, so it had, August 5th was after the election. So that's when we discussed it. Okay, now that makes sense to me. All right, I'm ready to vote.
Any further discussion? Can we have roll call, please?
Mr. Freeman?
Yes?
Mr. Davis? Yes. Mr. Winfrey?
Yes.
Ms. Galloway?
Yes.
Ms. Van Buren?
Yes.
Mr. Kincaid?
Yes.
Mr. Mays?
Yes.
Ms. Poplar?
Yes.
Mr. Nelson?
Yes.
The vote is 9 yes, 0 no.
Kincaid did and Van Buren did, supported it. 150643, is there discussion on that?
Yeah, Mr. President, just for those council people and audience members, that's just how I do. Anything I don't know for sure, I don't touch it with a 10-foot pole. So believe me, if we were more diligent and specific and dot I's and crossed our T's, I'm not embarrassed when I'm checking details for the audience and to council members. I look at demeanor, I listen to sounds. This Sorensen and Gross construction Riverbank Park improvement, that's dealing with the upgrades that's been going on at the Riverbank Park. I'm ready to vote on that as well.
Is there any further discussion? Can we have roll call, please?
Mr. Davis? Yes. Mr. Winfrey?
Yes.
Ms. Galloway?
Yes.
Ms. Van Buren?
Yes.
Mr. Kincaid?
Yes.
Mr. Mays?
Yes.
Ms. Poplar?
Yes.
Mr. Nelson?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
The vote is 9 yes, 0 no.
Mr. President. Mr. President.
Councilman?
Yeah, we getting ready, I think, based upon the agenda. We gonna end up going into public speaking,
We are.
correct? And as we go into public speaking, based upon the shortness of this agenda, based upon us supposedly taking back control and doing, based upon the way I've seen this council operate for a while, I don't want to sit up here like a dummy and listen to the public and not respond. Not that I will respond to them, but if there's a referral or something, I'm going to just see how we operate because the emergency manager is gone, and I just really believe that we got a certain way we can and should operate. Thank you.
Thank you. Our first public speaker?
Mr. R.L. Mitchell. Mr. Mitchell?
I'm Mr. R.L. Mitchell, Mr. So-called President Josh. Back in the committee room, Scotty asked to be excused from the committee. He said he see a default in the committee. I want to know from you, can I ask Scotty why come he, for the record, why come he was asked to dismiss himself? To you, to Scotty. Scotty?
You can finish your 3 minutes.
Okay, from that, I noticed, you put everybody out, and there's only one black guy in there, that was Mays, called this so-called meeting. And Scotty dismissed himself as he an Irish guy and you a white man. And what is that the reason why you, since this city becoming racial through at that and nobody won't speak on it? And another thing, Scotty, you said you're gonna give me a Dr. Park and put my name on it. I was waiting at the bus stop Saturday and somebody told me there's some free hot dogs at this park. Get in the car. It took me to Jackson Park. And when I got there, he said he's gonna go to the store and place the numbers, but he's gonna drop me off. But I said, I'd just rather let me out, I'll walk. But he just got out and left. But I walked to the park. When I got there, I tried to get some food there, I was finna use it. I found out it was a murder in that park. And it was a family thing, but I had to use the restroom, and when I was finna use it, they pointed that's where the body was, and nobody wanted to give me, when they showed me the picture, I recognized the guy, and I put the thing in my pocket for him and read it, and that's what I thought about Scotty. When did you know about that park over there in your ward? This Nelson fellow. I ain't even left before everybody said, all right, now you better wash your hand. Don't drop. You're going to get beat down from a color woman. I wonder why they're talking to me that way. I was going, no, just like you let this man pray a prayer in a God silly talking about what do you call that? And all that junk and talking about going to church. Everywhere I go, all these Muslim and the Christians, and every time I try to talk to them, the house lady said, right, no, this disrespect, no, all this junk. Come on with this junk.
Thank you, Mr. Mitchell. Comments? Our next speaker?
Our next speaker is Mr. Arthur Woodson. Mr. Woodson?
All right, I'm back. I'm glad I got 3 more minutes. Miss Natasha Henderson, I would like to know, you said something about positionings being open. How long have those positions, y'all can ask her tomorrow evening, how long have those positions been open that they knew that these positions need to be filled? So how long has this money been sitting there for those positions when we could have been and had police officers, if it's that easy to refunnel the money to police officers, why they didn't do it a long time ago? Now back to you, Mr. Popular, about the safety issue, police, crime. 93% of black-on-black crimes are committed by black people, black individuals. 86% of white-on-white crime is committed by white people. By the population being so high, Majority of the crimes will be committed by the people who lives in that community. Now, I never seen you at a water march, any type of march. Never seen you anywhere but here. You sit back, you don't read any other ordinance, you don't read anything, you sit back and vote with Scott Kincaid and Josh Freeman. And you sit back and vote wrong every single time. I went back and researched all your votes, and they suck. All your votes messed up. So please do not take this on a personal attack like you just personally attacked us in that room. I am an ex-con, and I still do more than you do. I research a whole lot. Water, you name it. Just like when they sold the 9-mile stretch of pipeline when Mr. Croft them had a water forum, did nobody on the city council even know about the 9-mile stretch of pipeline that was being sold until I came here and told you about it? Now, I was helping a veteran with TTHMs, so then I learned about TTHMs and how it's hard to keep consistency with river water, so then I brought that to your attention. You still voted with Scott Kincaid and Josh Freeman. It is highly upsetting that you want to go along with them to publicize this safety issue so that you can get Walling up in here. I heard on the radio that Karen Weaver is never down at city council meetings. I'm glad she wasn't, because the simple fact is too much corruption down here. Oh man, I got a lot for you.
Thank you for your comments, Mr. Wood. Our next public speaker?
Our next speaker is Mrs. Carolyn Shannon. Mrs. Shannon.
As she comes, Mr. President.
We're going to put that on the agenda for tomorrow night about unfilled positions and the length of time that they've been unfilled.
Yeah, not that. I was just saying, as she come, I would like to welcome Karen Weaver in council meeting as she sit there and observe and congratulate her on her primary victory. Ms. Weaver.
Thank you. Ms. Shannon?
To the Honorable Council, to Mr. President Josh Freeman, and the very knowledgeable City Clerk Inez Brown. I stand before you speaking on behalf of Flint. Flint citizens have been robbed and raped for the last 3 or 4 years. We've had Kurtz, we've had Brown, we've had Darnell Early. Now we have some more carpetbaggers in here ripping us off. I am very fed up with this whining of Flint that do not have any money. It devastated our citizens. It made thieves out of our citizens because of the water. And when you steal, you will be prosecuted. I'm asking that Attorney Peter do not appeal with our money against us. That would be ironic. I'm asking the financial manager, chief officer, to wonder how devastating it was for the citizens of Flint. Some lost their homes, some had to stoop down to stealing. I am not happy with you raising the water rate so high that my people have to steal. Thou shalt not steal. You have stolen our money to run this city. Now it's time to give it up. I want a paycheck while I'm still alive. I do not know how long I have to be here, but I'm asking all the young leaders in this city, for the future mayor, to hold that person responsible for the citizens of Flint. If you do not serve your people, leave the city of Flint. And I'm asking all carpetbaggers to leave, run out, and don't look back. We have enough.
Thank you, Ms. Shannon.
We have enough, may I
Thank-
say this?
Yes,
We have enough intelligent people in Flint coming out of Kettering, University of Michigan, Baker's College. We have a lot of intelligent people in the city of Flint. Let's use our own resources
Thank you, Ms.
here in the city of Flint. And maybe with the new and future mayor,
Ms. Shannon.
we will turn this city around and we will have hope and we will smile
Thank-
again.
Thank you, Ms. Shannon. Our next public speaker,
Our next speaker is Adam Garrix. Mr. Garrix?
Mr. Garrix.
Garrix? Adam Garrix?
Good evening.
Good evening. I'm going to say the same thing I said 2 weeks ago, and I find it really ironic that the July 27th meeting wasn't publicized yet on YouTube. July 22nd, the arson on Stone Street was an act of domestic terror. I'm going to keep repeating that because I saw 2 individuals leave that building, okay? But I want to say something in reference to what everybody has said here so far. I've got a lot of professors and lawyers that are friends of mine, and they've all said the same thing. This is one of the most corrupt and segregated in mentality and where people live cities in the country, period. And it goes way back to General Motors. I mean, you can nod your head, but you're a part of it.
I'm
you know?
agreeing with you.
Well, but you're a part of it because you're on the KWA. You're on the KWA, and that's a violation of the Incompatible Public Offices Act, which goes right to what I was saying. In the book, The Bubble Burst, it describes why Charles Stuart Mott's actually considered such a philanthropist. In his great philanthropy, what he really did was he saved the bank that's now the Bank of America in 1929, which was the biggest scandal in the stock market's history. That entire board had embezzled everybody's money, and then C.S. Mott comes in and saves the bank with his own money. No, he actually bought a bank for a cut-rate price in the middle of a crisis. It did not make him a philanthropist at all. And I want to remind everybody that C.S. Mott was buddies with Ford and all of the other auto executives. Ford supported the Nazis, so did C.S. Mott. This is a matter of fact, and it's a matter of history. They also had organizations like the Flint Alliance, which was intended to break up unions and brutalize people. There was also the Black Legion and the Liberty League. So we're talking about conspiracy and corruption that goes way back. Now, some of you may not be involved directly with it. I think it's simply ineptitude. More than anything else, which is just as bad when you talk about corruption, because if it's inept, it's just trash. It's not even worth looking at as far as what you produce. But more importantly, I wanted to say to everybody, I'm here mostly because of the Carriagetown issue with the properties going on there, but not because I want to preserve the neighborhood, okay? There's a lot of history there that's being destroyed, and there's Native American ground that's being trampled on with C.S. Mott racist dollars. And that's because it's private money, and if federal money was involved and they found bones like they did a block down, the project would stop, the property would go back to the Native Americans. This is a diagram of Heartland Manor, what they were going to do to replace Heartland Manor some 15 years ago when they bought all these properties. And I brought this because this cost $250,000 to a consulting firm. And that's just one amount that I can think of. I'm almost done. I can count up to $1 million in consultations where they've taken the neighborhood people, brought them in, gave us chocolate dipped strawberries and told us what they were going to do with the neighborhood, and then end up with some piece of garbage that ended up in the lobby of Heartland Manor. Because they lost Medicaid certification and treated those people like crap, our elderly, to the point where the EMTs called that place Auschwitz, okay? So this corruption. Everybody forget that Jeffrey Wright was in there with Rizzo and then turned Fed snitch to save his own butt? Yet you guys are on the KWA pipeline? I mean, seriously. You guys can make a motion at any given time. Doesn't matter if there's a transition committee or not. Any one of you can make a motion at any given time to stop anything that's going on, whether it's Carriagetown or anywhere else, get it seconded, get it passed, and then take it to committee. It's not that hard.
Thank you.
Okay, so no
Mr.
status
Garrix.
quo.
Thank you. Our next public speaker.
Our next speaker is Mrs. Catherine Hayes. Mrs. Hayes?
Hi, my name is Catherine Hayes. I live at 1014 East Holbrook. I am in the 3rd Ward. I am up here pertaining to the grass, for one. Now, y'all want to take $250,000 to tear down a Ramada Inn that's been up there abandoned for God knows how long, instead of taking the $250,000 and cutting these empty lots, cutting the vacant houses. When I get to the corner of Industrial and Alma or Industrial and Austin, I gotta stick my car out there where it could get hit because I can't see because y'all ain't cut the grass at the corner. Y'all cut a path from the curb, just enough, and that's it. But y'all want to take $250,000 and waste it on a building. Yeah, it do need to be tore down, don't get me wrong. But it's been sitting there all this time. How come it can't wait another year to get these lots cut? Where people can see, where the elderly can see if people is trying to climb in their house. My house, and I ain't bragging, I have a beautiful home. Miss Inez know, Mr. Nelson know. Behind me, land bank on it. Wonder when the last time being cut, but when I called, the lady said it got cut June the 13th. She lied. Somebody can climb over my fence. I won't see them. I got security. I don't have the cameras, but I got the motion lights. But what good is it gonna do? Because they can climb over and duck. That don't make no sense. It is not making no sense. But y'all want to fix Riverbank, but y'all don't want to cut the grass. What about the people? What about where they live? My block is 5 houses and a church, and most of them is elderly. Only reason I'm there, I grew up there. My mama was there, God rest her soul. She passed a year and a half ago, so I tried to keep her house going. We bought her house. But it ain't making no sense for y'all to do that and the crime go up because y'all won't take care of the property that surrounds us, people that have nice homes, that want to be there, that's been there all their life, that would like to stay there. You in prison, in your home, because you can't open your windows. You got armored guys everywhere. We got to put on the window, the basement, the doors, because we scared somebody going to walk in while we sitting on our patio. Because I can't see on the next street. Wonder why. Grass ain't been cut. It ain't even a path. It look like I live in the country, and I don't. I love my home, but something need to be done. That money can go to something else better for right now. Y'all claim we broke. We ain't too broke. Y'all finna do Riverbank. Burston got fixed. The streets didn't all get fixed. We still got potholes. I had a pothole all summer, just got fixed. That don't make no sense. And I have another subject. If I need to go and sit down, I'd get 3 more minutes. Okay, the other subject is the water.
No, you don't get 3 more minutes, but if you can wrap it up quickly, we'll let you.
Okay, the other thing is about this water. In my book, I don't feel like y'all gonna try to give us our money back. They're gonna come up with a solution of credit your bill, or it'll be lower the next time. When did this kick in? I have a lien on my house, on my taxes, for a water bill from a person that's deceased, that was way deceased before we bought the house. But they sticking it on my taxes. So if that's the case, that means I can move in the house that she owned, rent it, leave the water bill there, and the next person gets stuck with that water bill. That's not right. I don't even know the person that had the water bill. But when I called, I done went through all channels to try to get it resolved. Since we've been in that house, May the 7th, 2014, we bought it from the auction sheriff, not from the owner. And the owner is deceased. But I get stuck with a $1,000 water bill that's gonna go on my taxes, on somebody else's bill. Where we do that at? We pay our bills, we pay them on time. Now, when the last person, she gonna tell me I need to get a lawyer. Is they gonna pay for it? To get a bill taken care of that don't even belong to me.
Thank you, Ms.
Mr. President, how many speakers is it?
11 was total, I
Right.
believe.
We're on
And we
number
on-
6 now.
We on number 6. I want Ms. Hayes to know that the weeds and the water bill will be addressed. Do you want to address them
Address it
now?
at the end. We'll get through the rest, and then we'll address each one
If you
individually.
stick around, we will respond to those 2 issues. Thank you.
Our next speaker.
Our next speaker is Mr. Clifford Harvey. Mr. Harvey? Mr. Clifford Harvey.
Here he comes.
Good
Good evening.
Good evening.
Want to get a good look at all y'all. Good evening, good evening, good evening, people. Now, citizens, people. I'm not going to salute something. Tell the people what that flag means, first and foremost. Put glory up there. I'm a resident of 334 East Baltimore. My mother is Betty R. Jones. On the night of Friday, whatever the date was, this last Friday on this violent episode, my house was next door to the house that this murder and this shoot up. I was waking up at 2 o'clock in the morning, hollering to my mother, saying, my hand is burning. I tell her, I hear the bullets flying, I hear them going off, I hear them hitting the house. Hit the floor, mama, hit the floor. Get on the floor, mama. Is you all right? Is you all right, mom? My hand is burning. Mama, is you bleeding? Mama, is you all right? I'm on the floor steady hollering to my mother. I get up, the bullets stop, I get up. I make it in with my phone in my hand. She hollering, call 911. I'm calling 911. After I call 911, I call my nephew. See, I don't know about y'all police, but I know about my nephew, because that's her grandson, you understand? So 4 minutes later, though, the police responded, which I admit to that. But when the police get there, now I'm not only the victim, I'm the target. 4 white officers get out. My nephew done made it there. My neighbor's laying out there on the ground with 9 bullet wounds in him. The other little boy goes across the street and lay down and die. I see all this. My nephew get there, 4 officers tell me, and they grab my nephew. I'm like, the tape is not even up yet. I say, hey man, that's my nephew. He come to get his grandmother to take her to the hospital because y'all got your hands full. They proceed to put us in the car. These 4 white officers said my nephew has alcohol on his breath. But these same officers have to use evidence that's in my house to try to investigate this murder and this other shooting. That none of this would have happened if the Flint police would have done their job and closed the 2 houses that was causing the problem from the get. When the state boys ride down the street and the Flint police are very seldom seen on Baltimore Street. I too was incarcerated. I ain't been home 90 days yet. And I also have a tether on, but I'm here to voice for the people. For the people, something wrong. Now, y'all can sit there like y'all in control. God in control, and you got to pay everything that y'all do and not doing. You got to answer to the Creator. So you're messing over the people. Ain't nothing funny about it. Sitting back on your laurels behind the suits and the smiles and we going through it. It's Saigon out here. Y'all not in Saigon. The people is crying. Y'all, the man told you, you're going to lose. You done lost control. Y'all been doing what y'all been doing for however long. It ain't worked. You better listen to somebody that know what they're talking about. I'm not going to be a prisoner in my house. If you want me to handle it, I can handle it. You sent me to penitentiary for defending myself. Your court's corrupt. Y'all corrupt. I'm being real with you. If you don't handle it, somebody else going to be sitting in your seat. And it might be somebody from the penitentiary. Because me too, I educated myself when I went to prison.
Thank you,
Very
sir.
educated.
Thank you.
And
Can you sum up?
did the bell ring, brother?
Yeah, it did.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna take a little bit more time.
That's why I'm asking you to sum
Yeah.
up, sir.
Okay. Yeah. Now, like this here, y'all might not get sued, but you can get a file. You can get a claim filed against you. And if you talk to your lawyer, you ask him about it. Claim is way worse than any civil lawsuit. So remember, you're responsible. 1, to God. 2, to the people. Not to yourselves. Stop bickering over BS. The people is dying every day. I got to go catch the bus. I will be back.
Hey, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Mr. President, that 334 East Baltimore, sir, is in my ward. I'm sitting up here with 2 tethers on, convicted twice. So I want you to know this. You ain't the only one that's frustrated. I've been here a year and a half. I'm gonna give you my cell number
It's on your answer service. My mother say you know her.
and everybody else. So I
Jones.
wanna deal with the details of that. I'm hearing that you had some problems. I had heard about it. When you walk away and go catch the bus, 'cause I ride the bus too.
Yes, sir.
And so what I'm gonna do, we gonna make contact now, and I'm gonna make sure that we review all of what I just heard you say, because if a person had alcohol on their breath, that don't mean they should have been treated like the suspect rather than the victim. So I done made notes. I'm glad you came back. And believe me, I digest your frustration, but don't put all people in the same boat.
If it don't fly,
All right,
if
guys.
it don't apply, let it fly.
Then we
All right.
all good.
There you go.
And so
Thank
let's
you.
get to the bottom of this.
Councilman,
Mr.
did you want to
President,
give him your phone number?
Believe me,
It's
we
on
will.
your answer. It's already on your
We
answer
will.
service. I done
He's got
called.
your phone number. We're
We
good to
will.
go. All right, our next speaker. Thank you, sir.
Our next speaker is Mr. Chris Del Moroni. Mr. Del Moroni.
Thank you. My name is Chris Del Moroni. I live in Flint, Michigan. I found it amazing that the mayor now wants to do a budget amendment for more police. I would remind him it was the police millage that he supported where the residents were led to believe that more police and firefighters would be hired. So I would tell him, take the money from the millage and hire the police and firefighters. That's where your money's at, and that's where the people's money is, and that's where it should be. I'm sure he had to have known, and others who are on council now and previous members of council knew that that money was actually going to go into the general fund. It was never intended to go to police. If it was, it certainly wasn't earmarked. There's talk of establishing a rainy day fund. Ladies and gentlemen, it's raining in Flint, Michigan. We don't need a rainy day fund. We need to spend that money on from everything that the citizens have been talking: cutting grass, tearing down homes, police, fire. I mean, the list goes on and on. It's raining in Flint, Michigan right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Del Moroni. Our next public speaker.
Our next speaker is Mrs. Barbara Biggs. Mrs. Biggs.
Barbara Biggs. You nervous? Barbara Biggs.
Good evening.
Good evening, Council. First, let me say my name is Barbara Biggs, and I live on East Court Street. As you know, we are having an epidemic of killing. I'm asking each and every one of you to help me. I want to bring a meeting together with all the citizens in Flint, including the people that killed or their families that have killed, not just the victims. I ask Councilman Davis to please be the special speaker. And I asked Kerry Nelson, which I love dearly, for helping us out. He's been supportive. And I asked Eric Mays, which is very popular in the community, to come together. And these two sisters over here, I'd appreciate if you come along with Mr. Winfrey. I don't know him yet. And as well as Scott Kincaid, because this is in your ward next Friday on the 21st at 6:30. We need all the resources that we can get, sir. We have people that's actually telling me that they're afraid to catch the bus now because of what happened. We know that that's the first murder in 10 years. But when you have elders and children afraid to catch the bus, we have a serious problem here. And I'm quick to say that if these crimes are not connected, we have an even bigger problem. If it's one problem and they're just all over, we got fires all over, that's one thing. But it's too much. I am a victim of violence, and it's not a pretty picture, and what is left behind is a last year version of me, which was not good, because I wasn't in my right mind, and that's what you leave behind. So that person may be gone, but then you leave other people behind that becomes mental. I didn't care if I lived or died. Anything went. So you have that kind of mentality. And we need to educate the people about what they're doing. We need to educate the people with common sense. I keep hearing, well, that's only common sense that you do this. But what you fail to realize is that common sense only comes when you're in your right mind. We have to educate our people. And I mean all people, not just the people on the south side. I love the south side, but not just the people on the south side. We have to go over on the north side and pick them up. We can't expect for them to come. It's going to be at the mini station, the police station. I'm sorry, one more second. It's going to be at the police station on Dort Highway and Atherton Road. We can't expect for the people that don't have transportation to walk or even catch the bus now. So I'm asking for help, resources. You know, let us have it at the Dome sometimes. I'm asking you guys to come together. I see so much bickering down here until it makes me ill. I stop even coming to the council meetings. I look at Brother Davis right now. He has hurt and pain in his eyes. And it's all due to all this fighting and stuff. And now I'm just asking you, and I'm nothing more than a citizen. I'm just asking you, please knock it off. Our children even see you fighting and bickering and all of that. How can you be our leaders and you can't even get along among yourselves? You know, so I'm just asking. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Biggs. The next public speaker?
Mr.
Our next
President.
speaker is Mr. A.C. Dumas. Mr. Dumas?
We've only got a couple of...
Yeah, I know, but I wonder if Ms. Biggs ever seen them in England, how they do their politics. Some politics is just divisive. That's just the way it is.
Thank you, Councilman.
My name is A.C. Dumas, and I reside at 533 East Rankin Street, and that's in the 3rd Ward. And in respect to the lawsuit that a victory for the people in Judge Archie Hayman's courtroom on the other day, and it was a victory for the people. And I want to give special kudos to those troops, the citizens, the regular people that fought every day, cold, winter, snow, rain, about the water issue, to bring cognizance to the water issue. I think that Dane Walling did violate city ordinance when he illegally raised the water rates 35%. I think he should be held accountable financially and also politically. And all those of you who have barred with him, you know who you are. It's a sad day in our government. Now we see murders, 9 of them in 8 days. Now we talk about we need more police. Well, the people voted for a millage, as Chris said, and we have never seen, and I know Councilman Davis has been talking about that, going to D.C., Department of Justice, in reference to where did the money go? Illegal use of the money. So we have a corrupt mayor. Dane Walling is corrupt. And all those you know what, when you tie bar into it, then you become corrupt. And yes, I'm supporting Ms. Weaver. If she never came to a council meeting, I'm supporting her. That I'm doing. And I am a candidate for the 3rd Ward, the most largest geographical ward in the city of Flint. The junkiest, more abandoned homes and vacant properties, tall grass, nothing being done. You go down Saginaw Street and McClellan, see this burnt out shell has been there 3 years on North Saginaw Street. You come downtown, you don't see that. Where's the voice of the people? And it's terrible. Yes, I am running for 3rd Ward, Flint City Council. I'm running. And y'all know I'm running. And I'm going to win.
Next speaker.
Our next speaker is Mr. Timothy Abdul Mateen.
How y'all doing today?
Good evening.
No, I ain't gonna sit here and be antagonistic or point fingers and things like that, because people that come down here and and you guys, we see that all day. Y'all leaders, y'all in positions of leadership, y'all looking down upon the citizens. The citizens, they looking up to y'all, but y'all looking down on them. We just seen that today. Discrimination, things like that. These are the things that's going on in our city. Then we crying about crime. We crying about water rates. We can't even come together and do what's right. If y'all leaders, be leaders. You don't look down upon the people. Did Jesus look down upon the people? Moses, they don't look down upon them. They lift their people up. So if you feel like it's criminals and crime going on, what you gonna do about it? You ain't doing nothing. That's why people are doing what they doing. That's what they doing. Kids, they doing all this crime. They ain't got no education. They got fatherless homes. The homes are broken. We know about the systematic, how that happened. We know about the system. It's been set up that way. But we can't point blank. It's time to put up or shut up, man. Like, it ain't about what people not doing. It's about what are we doing to change the situation. Man, out with the old, in with the new. And that's what we need to be focused on. What we gonna do, how we gonna come together, bring our minds together to correct this situation that's out here. The crime, the finances, the water, all these things. Things ain't even improving, they getting worse. 9 to 10 murders in 9 to 10 days. So what that come from? Ain't no money, ain't no jobs, like Mr. Davis said, ain't no jobs. I was a prisoner too. I served 9 years, went in at 17, got out at 27, been home 5 years. Me and a couple guys that's here, we been in the community for 5 years since we've been out active. But we ain't pointing no blames at nobody. We took it upon ourselves to take the initiative to try to change our environments, ultimately ourselves and the people that surround us. Guys getting out of prison. Try to help them and steer them the right way. The kids, we got youth programs. I ain't seen nobody down there. I ain't seen nobody come down there with the youth programs, to volunteer, to talk to the kids or nothing. Guys that's getting out of prison, they identify with guys like me, Mr. Davis. They identify with Mr. Mays. Brothers like him, brothers in the back. These are the people that's in the community that needs the help. These are the people that we look up to. So we need to quit all the bickering, all the finger pointing, quit discriminating, come together, man, work together, reach out. And that's what we need to do, man. I ain't with all that finger pointing. I'm about solutions, and I'm about actions. And that's what I do right now. I'm out here in the streets. I'm talking to the people, mentoring the youth, helping guys getting out of prison. That's my duty. That's my part I play in, upbringing this society.
Thank you.
Mr. President, Timothy, I can appreciate what you're saying.
Councilman Mays, we've got one speaker left.
I understand, but I still wanted to acknowledge him as soon as he finished speaking. I appreciate what you're saying.
Our last speaker is DeJuan Robinson. DeJuan Robinson.
DeJuan, is you passing or you speaking? He said he passing. You
Okay.
sure?
Okay.
All right, so that is our last public speaker. I usually start on this side. Do you want me to start on this side? I can. Why don't you start, Councilwoman? No, you, go ahead.
Thank you, Council President. I just wanted to thank the community for coming out and voicing, your concerns. There are a lot of issues, and I want to thank the young men that came up here and that was solution-driven. I think that we do have a lot of challenges, yet as a community, and someone said it, I think it was Carolyn Shannon, we have some of the best education that surrounds us. We have some of the smartest and the brightest that come from all over the place. So we do have the ability to make some great changes. Yet until we begin to try and work together, it's very difficult for us to progress. One of the things that we need to make sure that we're doing, a lot of people have made mistakes, and we need to try and right those without, let's not just get dirty. Let's not sling all the mud. Let's bring factual things, because if you are factual, those are the things that cannot be disputed. I don't have to attack your character. I don't have to attack your integrity. I can just look at your record and use your record. When we are voting up here, we are held accountable by the constituents that we service. And they look at how we vote, why we vote. We should be saying that. And so I'm just asking that the community would make sure that we're respecting each other, even when we agree to disagree. The lady here, Ms. Hayes, I think it was. I would tell you that if you purchased a property, in the negotiation of purchasing your property, everything is discussed in your paperwork. And so generally when you purchase property, in your purchase agreement, it specifically says what all liens have to be taken care of before you purchase a property. And so before you even have to go to an attorney, you should be able to read your document. And your document will tell you if you're taking on, and I've never bought property in an auction from the county or anything. So you really want to look at that, because some of those purchases are as is, and any liens that are on there would be your responsibility. And so I would recommend that would be the first thing that you do. And I was just wondering who was the person that handled the transaction, from you getting the deed. It should, and we can talk offline. I'm just saying to anybody in here, anytime you purchase a property, all liens should be a part of the negotiation process to make sure that I get a free and clear title deed. And if that's not the case, it should be documented. So you may be able to read through that and see that wasn't done and be able to present it, but you would have to read through all of those documents. And so that was the thing that I appreciate you, Barbara. I mean, I think most of us have a heart for the community. And so anything that I can do to support you on August 21st, I will do it. Thank you guys so much.
Councilman Kincaid.
I'm good.
Councilwoman Van Buren.
Okay, thank you. I really don't have much to say today, because I feel like today's kind of like a sad day. I mean, you wake up in the morning and you hear about the 1-year-old and the 70-year-old, and it's like, why? I mean, some of the other situations, it's usually people who know each other, people who are in situations that they get involved with and they become their own victims. But when you have something like this that makes no sense, or the young man who was talking about his mother getting shot in the hand, for whatever reason, I can't remember what the story was behind that, if that was just a drive-by and they were shooting in the house or what, but still, we've got people that are not feeling safe. You don't know if you can drive, if you can stand out in your own yard, or if you can even go to sleep. We discussed some of these things today's meeting. Tomorrow, we will have a special meeting set up at 6 o'clock to talk about how to increase the services of the police department, how to bring maybe additional officers on. Don't know. This is like in the discussion mode. That is open to the public to come in and sit in on that meeting. So I encourage you to do that. Many of you had some good opinions, some good thoughts. It was nice to see more people speaking up at the front, because it's those comments that keeps us in line with what we need to be doing. And also, many of you are involved in this community, one way or another. I don't care if it's through organization, if it's through helping your neighbor, if it's making sure that you have an understanding of what's available to you as your resources. We have representatives from different parts of the media, from radio and TV. It's nice to see that you're still here. Even a representative from the Charter Commission is here, and it's nice to see that she's here, which we also need to be more involved with at their meetings to see what's going on regarding ideas for a possible new charter. So all I can say is I don't think any of us is giving up on the city. It's just that we feel like we're getting slapped around, and like one young lady said, feel like we're getting raped throughout the past years or something, that, you know, we keep having to give up things just to try to have some type of quality of life in this community. So I don't know. I don't have any, like, amazing good thoughts other than not to give up and to participate, to be here, to talk to us. And again, tomorrow is a special meeting at 6 o'clock. It'd be nice to see some of you here. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Mays?
Yeah, Ms. Henderson, I went with Alonzo and Raul, and we picked up 2 brand new zero-turn lawnmowers. I was with them that day, so we appreciate that. The engagement hub, we will get some things cut. I would encourage my colleagues to encourage themselves and or anybody in their ward to take them classes for 3 hours. I'm class certified, ready to cut, got orders to cut, and so I have free time, I will cut. So we appreciate that transfer. I don't know what's happening with the brush hogs push, but we will be cutting, and those were nice machines we picked up. In other words, I heard you say you listen. I can remember when that dialogue started. But now the 6 o'clock meeting, when we get in there tomorrow on police, Ms. Weaver, I would recommend that you come, because I know I accused them of politics. Because in the last public safety meeting, when we were talking specific operations and we hadn't had all the killings, I talked about the spike in the killings and police operations, and I was abruptly shut up. And it was nothing you should shut up on. I'm asking the citizens of the city of Flint to pay close attention to this political season. See, I've been around for 10, 20 years, and I would like to thank those smart 11,196 voters that voted for me, because I didn't spend money, didn't have literature, didn't do yard signs, didn't really do no early absentee voting stuff, and I'm real proud of my numbers. See, I believe some people, even on this council, that are supported, regardless of what they say when they came on board, regardless of what they say, between me and God, I coached and helped them, and I don't think in some cases they would be here. But when we run, Ms. Biggs, and we split up the vote, this is the first time in 20 years I've seen 3 council people vying to be mayor, and it just divides the vote. Ms. Weaver had 2,300. Ms. Weaver spent, according to her finance committee statements, 23,000. I don't believe some people spent less than 1,000, because I know what yard signs cost, I know what literature costs, and I'm very concerned about campaign finance. Walling spent 63,000, and we spent $600 and didn't even get literature. So I'm proud of the city of Flint, but I'm gonna say this. When I looked at the League of Women's Voters literature, it had Josh Freeman, Brian Nolan, Darrell Buchanan, some of these prominent names came out in the primary and they supported the mayor. And then I had said, Ms. Henderson, when we were trying to get weeds cut and I was arrested, and I'm holding you accountable that you're supposed to kind of oversee this council. See, where I come from as third vice president of the NAACP Political Action Chair at age 23, we say an injustice to one can be an injustice to everybody. You don't get shut up and arrested for speaking 3 minutes on agenda items. You don't get treated the way that Councilman Mays has been treated. I'm here to tell you, when I sit and listen to Judge Heyman rule on that water, it was a great day. Because I used to practice in front of then Judge Valdemar Washington. He trained me. He broke down crying with the ruling, and I said to him what he said to me: man, if you can't control your emotions, you better get you another attorney, because that's what he used to tell me when I used to practice in front of him. My position is this, Mr. President: just like you indulge the residents, indulge me. Because I've been in this council meeting, Ms. Galloway, you can ho-hum if you want, but I've been in this council meeting for 20 or 30 years. I've watched the Woody Etherlys, the Verdell Duncans, the Chester Simmons, the Ed Taylors, and all of the great council people, the Melvin McCrees, and nobody has ever been treated like what Council Mays has been treated. No colleague on this council under my watch, I wouldn't care if it was Kincaid, and I don't always agree with him. I don't care if it was Josh Freeman. Ain't nobody gonna, under my watch on this council, have police put hands on them, and I ain't gonna say nothing about a freedom of speech issue, a right to communicate issue. I'm here to tell you, Ms. Weaver, you and your campaign might better watch the goings on down here. I want you to attend that meeting tomorrow at 6 o'clock, because when we wanted police, we had millage, we couldn't get it. And then Walling pops up in the middle of what's called the special order and the status quo and what's going on for the next 2-3 months. I ain't mayoral candidate Mays. I'm officially first ward candidate Mays. I'm gonna have a voice if I have to go get a restraining order and haul everybody across the street. I wanna say this and I'll be quiet. The day before the election, I had 6 police around me out in front of City Hall. Out in front of City Hall, do you know I've organized the day before election where we've had barbecue pits, hot dogs, the UAW in front of City Hall. See, I'm a UAW elected official, activist, and I know that some of my UAW brothers sitting across the aisle fought for and gave my money to others to try to keep me out this seat. But I do pray on my knees, and I'm gonna say this: I don't want to see nothing like what I've seen in this primary happen in this November election. There's no way that police should have surrounded me, 6 of them, with 2 cars flashing, messing with me, discrediting me on the day before the election. And if I decide to name names, I will. But what I witnessed in this primary was appalling. I congratulate those 2 that made it, but I'm gonna be the police during this general election, and I will call names. God bless you.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Hinford? Nothing? Councilman Davis?
Yes, I want to say this, that everything in life is based on signs and symbols. God always sends his sign or his message either through an instrument of maybe an individual, through a dream, through something. I took the initiative to run for city council is because there was a time when I was one of those ones who was in despair, who didn't have opportunity, came home from prison after doing 20 years, and I looked at my city and I seen this city to be nothing like I imagined it or that I remembered it to be when I left. I began to do my due diligence, and I found out at that time that it was 28% of the people in this city that had felonies on their record and no opportunity and no hope. And so I asked people, where do we go to look for help and hope? They said, down to City Hall. I said, that's where the local leaders at? They said, yeah. So I came down. I used to make complaints. Look at YouTube. You can see when I used to be on that side, arguing and making complaints about crime would never go down until they reach out to the 28% of men and women with felonies on their record and get them off the street. And so then I decided in the long haul to get on the other side and see if I can defend them. It is appalling to me in this mayoral election. First, I want to congratulate Ms. Weaver and congratulate Dane Walling. But it is appalling to me that over 30,000 men and women in this city with felonies on their record who went and voted for President Obama didn't get out and support me. And I've been standing on this mic campaigning and fighting for them from day in and day out. Because I do feel in my heart that I am purposed to be in this position. 9 murders in 1 week. And people can say, hey, how are we going to resolve it? You will never resolve it until you get somebody that's being a leader at the top that can understand what they're going through. They won't talk to nobody else. They're not going to sit back and listen to you while they got the guns and the stuff in their pocket and they thinking about going to rob and mutilate somebody or break into a convenience store. They don't care about you coming to them, telling them what they should and shouldn't do. But they'll respect the person that understands what they're going through and can give them a narrative in life of where they'll be. Because I can sit down and talk to them all day and tell them where they'll be. And they'll be living a life of the shoulda, coulda, woulda forever. But the difference is that I just don't come just from that one dynamic. I come from the point of understanding professionalism, understanding legislation, understanding how can we get on the phone and talk to senators and state representatives and congressmen about submitting some form of legislation about the ills and the frustrations and the disparities and all of the things that's crippling these men and women, and sit back and we can bring in some form of legislation and put it on the floor in Lansing on a bipartisan level to address that need and bring opportunity and hope. Because when we bring opportunity and hope to these men and women, trust me, crime will go down. But crime will never go down until we begin to tap into the hearts and the minds of the overwhelmed amount of men and women who has lost all hope and no opportunity. Public safety, as my colleague, Councilman Kincaid said, is absolutely right. It's a reactionary. We have to be more proactive. Proactive is preventing them from going inside of the prison walls, preventing them from picking up the gun and going to shoot some next door neighbor of theirs, or shooting some little child, which I have so much sympathy in my heart that that's what recently has just happened. If we don't read the signs, we're going to fall in hell. There's a sign. There's something telling us that something is not right. How many more murders do we have to look at and witness we have to come down here and complain over the mic? The help will come when we all come together and get the state to bring some economic and development back to Flint. We got so much brownfield and no manufacturing jobs for these men and women to get off the street. You got Oxford, you got Auburn Hill, you got Clarkston, you got Fenton, Lapeer, Davidson, Bay City, Saginaw. I mean, the list goes on. They got all these manufacturing jobs, and they're hiring these men. But some of these men and women can't even afford a car to get there. They don't have money to even catch a bus to get there, because buses don't travel there. But if we bring it here, it'll get these men and women off the street. Income taxes will go up. Please. Crime will go down. Once the crime go down, then we can bring big development to Flint to address the needs of those graduating from Kettering and U of M. But we have to bring in some form of an entity that can address the crime rate and bring it down to a lower level. That's why I became a city councilman. And someday I'm going to run for mayor again. And I may run for state rep because I want to be in Lansing submitting that legislation and speaking about it on a bipartisan level of the impact and the detriments of these men and women with these felonies on their record and how we need to remove it after 7 years. That's first step initiative. And that's why I sit at this leadership seat where I sit right now, is because I want to talk to the L's and the ills of the men and women that has been ignored, rejected, and neglected. Because if we don't speak to those ills, we can talk about high technical jobs, we can talk about everything else in policy, implementing and reforming policy for this and for that. We need to talk about jobs that would be afforded to the least of them. And that's how crime would come down. Because when you're sitting on your porch and you're frustrated, you're irritated, you're deprived of the natural necessities of life, it builds into one irrational ball. And then what happens? They begin to act irrational. Look at the difference between the 60s and the 70s. You didn't see this. People was working. What happened? Jobs left, and poverty kicked in, crime kicked in too. That's what happened. You gotta address the needs of those that have the tendencies and the propensities to commit crime. I bet you if they caught every one of them men and women that committed these 9 murders, they got a felony on their record. I bet you.
Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you.
Councilman Nelson, do you have anything this evening?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll be very brief.
Thank you.
I'll give, I know the time is, I want to say, first of all, to thank the residents of the 3rd Ward for coming out and voting on Tuesday. And they spoke, 53% spoke and said the way of the leadership, they were satisfied. And I thank God for that. And I want you to know I'm in here running for 3rd Ward on November the 3rd. I'm asking the 3rd Ward to continue the view and the vision that I have for them. No, we can't wave a magic wand and all houses are gone and all grass is cut. But I do thank Ms. Henderson for working with us. And she went out there and drove the area. And my hat goes off to her because she sees the seriousness of the high grass and the blight is real. And so I asked her to go back to the table and find more money. Now, I haven't heard anything yet, but I'll be calling her this week. We're working as a ward and a community and a city. I've heard a lot of views on the police and why are we doing it now? Well, the families are asking, why my loved ones now? And whatever it takes to bring some kind of security. No, you can put a police officer on every street corner. That's not going to help. But if we give them the tools they need, it can help. And so now I'm not here politicking. I'm here being real because there's 9 people that have to be buried. There's 9 families in mourning now, and they're asking why. They're asking why. We don't have the solution to tell them why, but I can recommend somebody to them. Mr. President, I'm through. I thank you for the time.
Thank you, Mr. President. First, I would like to remind the city of Flint, this is for all constituents, about the 50/50 sidewalk program. You can tap into your computers at www.cityofflint.com, and the open enrollment is from July the 1st until August the 31st. A lot of people have been asking about the 50/50 sidewalk program, and a lot of people have been signing up. So I want to make sure the word is out to all people, all wards, not just mine, but all wards. Secondly, Mr. President, I know the grass is really high in certain places in the city. But as of tonight, I have noticed crabgrass popping up. And I have some statistics on crabgrass. From the year 2003 to 2005, that was 2 years, crabgrass was in Flint. Then from 2000 to 2005 to 2011, for 6 years, Lansing had crabgrass. Then from 2011 to 2012, Swartz Creek had crabgrass. And then again, from 2012 to 2013, Flint had crabgrass. Then Swartz Creek popped up again with crabgrass from the year 2013 to 2015. That was 2 years they dealt with crabgrass. And now we're back to June of 2015 in the 2nd Ward, and crabgrass has been back in the 2nd Ward for 2 months. Now, I said all that to say this. When you want to be a leader in the city of Flint, and you want to challenge a leader that's been a homeowner for over 40 years in the city of Flint, you need to be real mindful. So the crabgrass I'm talking about is Mr. Arthur Lee Woodson, who now has an address of 402 West Stewart, which he moved into June 18th, 2015. But he wants to come up and bash me and tell me what I have not done for the 2nd Ward. Well, for one thing, I have done things, and I have been still. And you certainly can't hop around like popcorn. So all I can say to Mr. Woodson, and hopefully, since he wasn't man enough to sit here and listen to what I had to say, maybe he'll get the message that you need to quit moving around and sit down somewhere. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're
Just
welcome.
as a reminder, we do have a special meeting tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. We're going to be in the back in the committee room. No, they
I'm
know
running
we're going to
to
be
your
back
back.
in the committee room. We'll be back in the committee room.
Mr. President,
Councilman Mays?
yeah, and I want them to know that it's a hearing or something Monday in Haman's Court. We don't have a time, do we?
No. So I
Nope.
need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
I need a support. Support. I need a roll call.
Yes.
Ms. Galloway?
Yes.
Ms. Van Buren?
Yes.
Mr. Kincaid?
Yes.
Mr. Mays?
No.
Okay, Ms. Poplar?
Yes.
Mr. Nelson?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
The vote is 8 yes, 1 no to adjourn.
Motion carries.
Am I right?